Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today, we are talking about how to define an insight. Now, I've been hearing insights tossed around a lot lately. And while I do see some very interesting, exciting insights, I also see some insights that I would qualify just as observations. So I thought it might be helpful to dig in a little bit and talk about what really makes an insight. First up, everybody's talking about them. I mentioned this a second ago, but it really is the case. It's so important to generate market insights. And it is. It really, really is. But again, we need to get clear on what exactly an insight is and what it's supposed to do. Now, typically, I like to think of the insights as part of the scientific method. Usually comes between the experiment and the result. When you've run your experiment, you've gathered your data. Now you need to go in and try and figure out, well, what really happened? Why did it happen, et cetera. If you've got a good hypothesis, this should help you get there. The generation of the hypothesis should be based on the insights, but that's not always the case, and it's not always possible. So this is how it's defined on the internet. You can read it. It's pretty straightforward, but it doesn't really give us a lot of information on how it is supposed to work and how you should generate them. So in reality, insights actually wind up looking a bit more like this. They come in everywhere. How you interpret your observation into a question. How does that question then get formed into a hypothesis? What do you do with your experiment design? All of these are insightful processes that you need to be thinking not just about what am I observing, but why do I think that is? And so you wind up with it sort of all over the place. However, where I like to really seek the definition is that an insight takes you from an observation to a recommendation. Now, without it, this is what it would look like. Most people find kittens cute. Most people do not find spiders cute. We should all know this. These are pretty straightforward observations here. But without any middle part that tells us why we think that might be, our recommendations could be just to wholesale avoid spider imagery and only use kittens. Cat people like me would love this. Now, I'm also a spider person, just FYI, and this is my adorable cat, Sokka. However, and I will put in a quick arachnophobia warning. There are spider pictures incoming. There's just two. But if that's not your jam, go ahead and turn off the video. Anyway, if you do just avoid spider imagery, you're going to miss out on how cute Lucas the jumping spider is. If you haven't seen Lucas, it's a web series online. You can watch it on YouTube. Great for kids. Lucas has 3.65 million YouTube subscribers, which is pretty crazy when you think about the fact that Lucas is a jumping spider, although he does talk and it is videos for kids. But still, all the same, you'd miss out on a considerable market if you only make cat videos and don't make any adorable jumping spider videos. In other words, here are kind of the key takeaways. If you just do observations, you're just looking at data. You need to understand why those things happen. Recommendations without insights wind up just being wasteful because you are stabbing in the dark. So you really want to have that pathway of underlying logic from your observation to your recommendation so you don't miss out on a lot of that story that happens in between. So insights will do three crucial things for you. And I'm going to go through each of them just really briefly. The first is it provides a logical pathway from observation all the way through to recommendation. You should be able to track any recommendation, any action that you are taking all the way back to what you observed via insights. And the other thing that it does is provide really crucial context. It's those pieces of the puzzle. This is the other spider image. It's the pieces of the puzzle that you need to put together in order to tell the full story of what's happening. That context becomes really important. It sparks up other thoughts, other ideas. So if you have an understanding of the context around the observations that you saw, you're going to be able to take much more effective action. This is a peacock jumping spider. It's probably one of the coolest spiders in the world. It has this adorable dance that it does where it shakes that tail around. It's very colorful and bright. I recommend checking it out on YouTube. It's a great, well, don't spend too much time on it, but it is very cool. So in other words, this is kind of the third thing that insights do. They suggest cause. They might not prove it. They're probably speculative, and we'll get to that in a moment. But they do suggest cause. We've all heard correlation does not equal causation, but correlation gives you an idea of where to look. And that's how you generate meaningful insights. So the key to an insight is that no matter how subjective, how speculative, or any other issues that you might have with them, no matter what, they need to be testable. You have to be able to look at your insights and take action to figure out if these are really what's driving the causal relationship or have some impact on it, because usually causal relationships are going to be complex, particularly in marketing. but you need to be able to test these and start to get a sense for what's really going on in the market. So how do you incite insight? Ha ha ha. Typically, you're going to want to ask questions that start with either or both. Why? So why is something happening? Why did this occur? Why did people react that way? Why is that page performing better than the others? Why is that call to action performing better than the others? Why is that subject line working? All of those questions help you put together the pieces of the story. Then the other piece you want to look at is how. How did this work? How did we run this campaign? How did we organize the team? How did we manage communications? It's a bit more of the process-oriented piece, but it still is very insightful. And how you are doing your marketing is equally important to why the things you're doing are working. That execution piece really can't be ignored. So in the end, insight to me is the most important piece of the puzzle. Again, data without or observations without insight are just data. Recommendations without insight are wasteful. So take a look at your strategy, take a look at any test you ran, and see if you can chart back the action that you took or the recommendation that you were given to the observations that were logged. Can you see that pathway? Do you know what it looks like? Are you able to really map it out? And if you want to talk about it or you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. But otherwise, good luck and happy inciting.